Before we start looking at the cardiac cycle or flow of blood around the heart, we need to review the anatomy. Firstly, when you are given a diagram of the heart, what view are we looking at? What view is this diagram? Also, which is the left side and which is the right side? When working with the heart, there are some key points we need to remember. Firstly, arteries. What is the rule with them? Secondly, the word pulmonary. What does that mean? Thirdly, what happens on one side of the heart also happens on the other. Let's now review our anatomy. Blood enters the upper chambers of the heart. What are these chambers called? On the left side, through these blood vessels, and on the right side, through these blood vessels. Where has the blood come from? Through the pulmonary veins, it has come from the lungs, and through the superior and inferior vena cava, it has come from the body. What are the lower chambers of the heart called? And what separates the atria from the ventricles? One-way valves called AV valves or atrioventricular valves. Blood exits the heart from the ventricles through arteries. On the left-hand side, through this artery, and on the right-hand side, through this artery. At the base of the aorta and pulmonary artery are one-way valves also. What are these ones called? That's our anatomy. Let's start the cardiac cycle. In the first diagram, what can we see? Blood is flowing into the ventricles passively due to gravity through the AV valves which have just opened. What percentage of blood flows into the ventricles passively? Now have a think about what will happen next. If 70% of ventricular filling occurs passively, how will the remaining 30% enter the ventricles? In the second diagram, what has changed? Atrial systole or contraction? Why? Now the ventricles are completely full. Again, what will happen next? Where do we want blood to go, and how will we achieve that? In the third diagram, what has changed? The AV valves have now shut. Valve shutting prevents blood moving in that direction. The AV valve shutting also creates the first heart sound. What is it called? Now the blood is trapped in the ventricles, so what will happen next? Where do we want the blood to travel now? In the fourth diagram, what has changed? Ventricular systole or contraction and the semilunar valves have opened. Blood is ejected out of the ventricles on the left side, out the aorta to the body, and the right side out the pulmonary artery to the lungs. What will happen next and why? In the fifth diagram, what has changed? The semilunar valves have now shut. Second heart sound, what is it called? This prevents blood flowing back into the ventricles. Check out the atria. What has changed there? Blood has been flowing into the atria, ready for the cardiac cycle to start again when the AV valves open. I hope that has helped you learn the cardiac cycle. Here are all the diagrams together in order. Pause the video now and try to talk through each stage of the cardiac cycle to test that you have got it.